Hello, hockey fans. Welcome on into the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Adam and Zach both with you here tonight. Going to be a very different kind of show tonight. This is a hockey show, but what happened in Cincinnati last night on Monday Night Football transcends sports. So we'll be talking about that. Plus, unfortunately, the NHL has some experience in the area of players needing assistance medically on the bench, and suddenly life and death is on the line. So we will discuss that. But we've got some fun stuff on tap, too. It was the Winter Classic yesterday. The Bruins and the Penguins, there was some FUD had there in Fenway yesterday. And the Carolina Hurricanes, are they going to be cracking their way into the Stanley Cup final? Well, we will debate that later tonight as well. All that plus more coming up here on this episode of The Neutral Zone. And once again, hello and good evening. I am Adam Kernick. Zach Puplis is along with us tonight. We are the Neutral Zone. Lots and lots to get through tonight. Lots of games going on in action tonight in the NHL. We'll keep you updated with scores all across the league. We've got fun stuff on tap, but unfortunately, we've also got serious stories on tap tonight. So lots to get through as we welcome Zach Puplis in. Zach, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing okay. Adam, how are you?
It's been a very interesting 24 hours, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure.
You know, it was just about this time last night, I was wrapping up doing Chi-Town Weekly, and it was about the same time that the sports world got put on its head by everything going on in Cincinnati. And yes, this is a hockey show. We're going to talk hockey. We will discuss things across the league, but what happened last night in Cincinnati with Damar Hamlin, it just transcends sports, and it would be very remiss of us to not discuss it. So I know Patty Bax, host of the Buffalo Huddle, she actually was not able to do her show tonight. She actually went to the stadium there in Buffalo to take part in a vigil that's going on for Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills safety, who suffered a heart attack in the middle of the game last night. That's just, you know, we've all seen crazy things happen in sports, but this has got to be right up there, doesn't it, Zach?
Oh, for sure. Definitely right up there.
You know,
I mean, you think about normal injuries, and you think, okay, they cut the player off and the game keeps going. But in this case, no. I mean, everybody was so touched by what had happened that they had to suspend it.
Yeah, and I mean, at the risk of turning this into a contest, I remember seeing, when I was a kid, I remember going to a racetrack and watching a car burst into flames, and unfortunately the driver wasn't able to get out in time. In hockey, I remember watching a play where a skater actually managed to take part of the blade of somebody's skates to the throat. I mean, that was a terrifying moment. But last night's right up there. It's one of those moments where all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, it stops being sports. It stops being entertainment, and you're reminded just how fragile we are as human beings, and just how dangerous these sports are that we enjoy, that we love watching, and we pay through the nose to enjoy them. But these are still people, and it's an unbelievable reminder of that. Oh, did we lose Zach?
Nope, I'm still here.
It's crazy. And to try to tie this into hockey, I guess a little bit, we probably shouldn't we? It's Taryn. Taryn is in the chat room with us tonight, and he's agreeing. He was in the middle of doing set point last night and wondered what all the commotion was about. He was in the middle of doing an interview on set point, and when everything happened, and then it was, oh yeah, this is what's going on. He was stunned by it last night. To kind of tie it to hockey a little bit. Unfortunately, hockey, the NHL does have a little bit of experience in this area. Unfortunately, as we were prepping for the show today, and obviously with what happened last night, that kind of put a redirection on everything, how the show today was going to go. But there's a few instances of this in the NHL from the last few years. You had Jay Bouwmeester with St. Louis, where he suffered a cardiac arrest on the bench with the St. Louis Blues in the middle of a game, and he needed a defibrillator. You had a Dallas Stars player, and I'm sorry, I've got to get the name back in front of me again. But that was in 2014. And then you had one close to you, a name that you recognized right away, Zach, Jerry Fisher with the Red Wings back in 2005, right after the lockout, just a couple of months after the lockout ended. He suffered a heart attack right there on the bench for the Red Wings, and they had to defibrillate him and bring him back. So it's crazy how in hockey, we don't want to say this is common because that's a gross over-exaggeration. But unfortunately, the NHL has some direct experience with this.
Yeah. I mean, even having it happen before in the NHL, I mean, it's still scary, regardless.
Yeah. Fortunately, in the case of the NHL, everybody was able to get the help they needed. Their playing careers ended effectively. That's what Bo Meester tried playing for about another year and then couldn't. Fisher, his career, he knew he was done at that point, but he's now part of the front office there for the Red Wings. So
yeah, there we go.
So it worked. It worked out in that regard. The Red Wings did right by him. As Cale Henderson jumps into the chat with us. Yeah, we will be talking hockey. We promise we will get there. But the news of last night it felt wrong to start someplace else and try to go on as if that hadn't happened last night. It was a nice moment in DC tonight, though. The Buffalo Sabres are in action tonight. They are currently losing to the Capitals 4-3, but it was a nice moment in DC before the games started. They held a moment of silence for Damar, and everybody on the Sabres arrived pregame wearing T-shirts, prayers for number 3. So it was a nice moment for the Sabres and Washington, because it was in D.C. and they still had that moment for him specifically in the game. So that was nice to see also.
Well, I mean, I'm sure if it had happened to a Washington player that, they would expect the same kind of, kindness and generosity from the other side, compassion.
Yeah. I mean, it's on some level, it's just basic human decency, but yeah, it's still good to see.
Uh-huh.
So nothing real new to report on that situation either. Last I saw is he's still in critical condition. I did see that the Bengals player that issued the hit, if you will, on Damar hasn't. As soon as the game was called and they told the players they could leave, he went straight to the hospital to check on him. That was
T. Higgins.
Yeah, T. Higgins. Yeah, he went straight to the hospital to check on Damar and make sure and see how he was. So
That's
it's getting them all. It's getting them all. So thoughts and prayers certainly with the family, and we hope that he pulls through.
Amen.
Indeed. All right, Zach. So how about you take us through the scoreboard now at this point? We can let's get into hockey a little bit. Try to have a little bit of fun tonight.
Sure. We got a couple barn burners going on right now. You mentioned Sabres and Capitals. Capitals are up 4-3 in the third. Blues and Maple Leafs are tied at 5 in the third. Holy crap.
Yeah, I thought I saw
output.
I thought I saw 6 goals in the third period so far in that one too.
Look.
Oh no, it was 6 in the second period. My bad.
Yeah. Austin Matthews, Brandon Saad, M. Bunting, Jay Livo, William Nylander, and Jay Cairo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sure enough, all in the second period, and they've already had 3. Oh, there was 3 in the first. There's already 1 in the second and 1 in the third as well. Bunting needs 1 more for a hat trick. Oh, and so does Saad.
And speaking of hat tricks, I thought I saw we do have a hat trick already tonight down in Florida.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. Florida Panthers are up 5-3. Another barn burner. Let's see. With goals on the Panthers by Tkachuk, Stahl, Matthew Tkachuk again. Okay, yep, Tkachuk's got the hat trick. Stahl has 2 goals.
Stahl,
and there's 3 goals from the Coyotes, Bugstad, Keller, and Shaitron.
Yes, yep. But Stahl not wanting to be left behind there. He wants the hat trick too.
Right, double hat trick.
Double hat trick.
Let's see elsewhere. Rangers and Hurricanes. Rangers are up 4-3 in the third. Senators are beating the Blue Jackets 3-0 in the third. Canadians and Predators are in the second. Preds are up 3-1. Flames and Jets are scoreless in the second. Lightning and your Blackhawks are tied 1-1 at the end of the first. Kraken and Oilers just started a little bit ago. 0-0 in the first period. And still to come tonight, we got Stars and Kings, as well as Islanders and Canucks, both starting at 10 o'clock.
Hey, the Kraken defense has held up for 5.5 whole minutes already. That's kudos to them. Did you see what happened the last time the Kraken played the Oilers a few nights ago?
No, I didn't.
It was 3-0 before the game was 3 minutes old.
Oh my God. Well, you're playing a team with video game numbers.
Connor McDavid went off.
Ooh.
It was just, yeah, it was one of those. It was just one of those games. It was one of those. It was Friday night because we were getting ready to. It was part of the USRN Friday Night Hockey, and the Panthers Hurricanes game got done, and it was, I could go in a couple minutes. I'll go flip over to that game. Never mind. It's 3-0 already. I think I'm good.
Final? Did you hear the final or not?
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
7-2 Edmonton. No joke.
Apparently it was a Canadian football game instead of a hockey game, that one. I can't remember the name of the Edmonton Canadian League.
Oh, you looking for the Edmonton franchise?
Yeah, what's the CFL Edmonton team? I can't remember.
I'm looking it up.
While you're looking that up, Kale
Edmonton.
chimes in the
Edmonton
chat room.
Elk?
That could be. Kale's chiming in the chat room that McDavid is a demigod. He's just
no joke.
It's
Edmonton Elk.
McDavid and Draisaitl. It almost shouldn't be legal that they're teammates anymore. It's just we're not quite to Gretzky level here because they're not dominating the league the way the Oilers were in the 80s, but it's certainly just bizarre watching it every night, how they just so effortlessly are able to do that. And the Oilers are 6 on what? Oh, there must be a penalty upcoming on Kraken. The Oilers have a 6-on-5 going on. They must have pulled the goalie.
Oh.
It's just
in the first?
Yeah, exactly. It was, wait a minute, what? Yeah, there's a penalty coming up. And thank you for mentioning my Blackhawks. They're going to lose. It's not a question of if, but when. It just will happen in this game tonight against the Lightning. It was nice that they held a lead for...
My Red Wings have beaten the Lightning, so why not your Blackhawks?
I guess the Blackhawks are bad at hockey. They're just... They've won once in the last month. They're terrible.
Oof.
They're just...
Oof.
They're just not good. They're right up there with the Bears, unfortunately, where there's this thing called talent. They don't have it right now. You know, they won twice in December. Twice.
Yikes.
And it's not like, oh, well, they made it to overtime and racked up a bunch of points. No. They lost, 3-0, 3-0, 3-1, 7-3, 4-1, 7-1, 4-2, 3-0, 3-1, 4-1. All these regulation losses. They got 4 points in the month of December. 13 games, 4 points.
Don't sugarcoat it. Tell us how you really feel.
They're bad at hockey. You know?
Yeah, they're sitting at last in the Central. They have 20 points. And even the Arizona Coyotes have 31.
Last in the Central. Heck, they're last in the whole dang league. You know? Even Taryn and Kale's Ducks are doing better. Marginally.
Yeah, Taryn's Ducks have 24. The Blue Jackets have 24. Montreal has 33. Yeah, so Chicago's last in the whole league.
Oh, yeah. Ugly. Woof. Very ugly. That's okay. There's other good teams that we can be watching. One of those teams that I want to talk about, and we'll get into it probably a little later, is Carolina. They're losing now, but we definitely want to talk about Carolina. But what we should talk about, because it was yesterday, and then we already know what next year's event will be. I know a lot of people want to say that New Year's is for college football. Nay, I say, New Year's is for the NHL. One of these years we'll be able to convince people besides hockey nerds like ourselves that New Year's Day is for hockey. We're working on it. But yesterday was the Winter Classic. So we're going to take a quick break, but then when we come back, we will discuss all the lovely hockey that happened at Fenway Park yesterday. This is the NutriZone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be right back after this.
From Russell's return to great division rivalries to young quarterback battles, what better way to wind down the first day of the new work week than with USRN's Monday Night Football? Season premieres September 12th on USRN.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo sports with a twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Motorsports takes many form, and there's one show on IE Sports Radio that's ready to cover it all.
I sure hope you're talking about you and I, Daryl, because I know the Extra Mile is the best place to go for everything motorsports related.
Yes, it is. From NASCAR to IndyCar to sports cars to everything in between, iSports Radio has everything covered for the fastest sport in the world.
Plus, don't forget all of our random shenanigans along the way.
That's right, Caitlin. So for plenty of motorsports coverage and plenty of Caitlinisms, check out The Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio with Daryl Kinsey Jr. and Caitlin Seen, Thursdays at 8 p.m.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back into the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. So, we teased it before the break that New Year's Day is always a fun day. On the one hand, you've got people recovering from partying maybe a little bit too much the night before. You get a late start to the day, maybe a little bit of an Irish breakfast, depending on your preferences. And then sports. One of these years, Zach, we need to convince people besides ourselves that New Year's Day isn't just for college football. How do we go about this?
Well, explain to them how cool it is when hockey teams actually play outside in the open air. Whether it's a football stadium or baseball stadium. And I don't know, bringing back the fashion of wearing the hockey sweaters again.
Sounds like a good idea. Gary Bettman's been trying this for years now. The Winter Classic. Yesterday's version took place at Fenway Park. The Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Zach, you pointed out perfectly during the break, everybody at the game was wearing black and yellow.
Was Wiz Khalifa the Grand Marshal there?
I'm just going to let that go. I'm just going to let that... Oh, and of course, before we get any further too far off topic, we do need to acknowledge our Patreon supporters. If you would like to support this show, first of all, thank you that we haven't scared you off yet. Secondly, you can go to our website, iesportsradio.com. You'll find a link to our Patreon page. Starts at just $5 a month. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. We've got higher tiers that get you access to our podcasting university, some IE Sports Radio merchandise, and a chance to even be featured on your own segment of The Defining Moment with our very own Larry B. So thank you again to Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and our anonymous Patreon supporter. We really do appreciate it. So Boston yesterday, Fenway Park. First of all, you had the pageantry of the Bruins showing up, not just in Red Sox. Oh, we can't scare Taryn off that easily. Good. I'm glad. We have to work harder at scaring off Taryn, Zach.
Ooh, I got a couple ideas.
All right. Well, there we go. You had the Bruins showing up yesterday, not just in Red Sox apparel, vintage Red Sox apparel. We're talking like Curse of the Bambino era Red Sox threads, complete with baseball bats and gloves, too. I really liked that touch that they were all getting off the bus with the baseball glove through their baseball bat kind of a thing. I really liked the little touch there with that.
Well, that's legit. I like that.
I didn't happen to look, though. Were they wearing cleats, do you suppose, or were they wearing sneakers?
I didn't see. I don't know.
I didn't think to look at the time either. It's too bad. And the game itself was a pretty good one. You know, as the outdoor games go, sometimes they can be really good. Sometimes they can be really strange. This was a pretty straightforward game. You know, it wasn't one of those where it was the only thing you could do was shoot a one-timer and, you know, you were having to fix the ice because of the elements having problems with it. It was a pretty straightforward, good hockey game. Pittsburgh scored first, but then not to be denied, Jake DeBrusk made sure that Boston came home the winners, scored both of Boston's goals in the third period, and the Bruins just keep winning. 2-1 yesterday. This is now 5 straight losses for the Penguins. And for the Bruins, you're now sitting here 10 points in front of Toronto. Toronto playing tonight still. But you've gotten points in 10 straight games. 17 points in their last 10 games out of a possible 20. And Boston just keeps being that team in the East.
Well, we talked about them earlier in the year when they had that huge streak going on. That we feel like they're destined for a collision course, you know, to be in the Stanley Cup final.
We did. I'm shocked that they're being at this strong, this dominant all the way through. I mean, sometimes you do kind of just get that team of destiny vibe about somebody. These guys are just, 37 games. They only have 4 regulation losses to this point.
That's wild.
You know, it's just 37 games. They've gotten points in 33 of them. It's just the one way where I guess you can beat them, if you will, is in the shootout. You know, they've three of their 4 overtime losses have been in shootouts.
Oh man!
You know, they just, if it is, you can't say 5-on-5 because overtime now is 3-on-3. If it is hockey, you know, if it is regulation style hockey, they're just so hard to beat. And I know Kale in the chat getting ready to do Sin City Sports, talking all things Vegas. I know he's anxious to then discuss how the Golden Knights are going to be that last team on the hurdle for Boston. And can Vegas be the team that keeps Boston from its destiny there? I don't know. What do you think at this point? I know we've got plenty of hockey still to go, but we had talked before the season that we liked the matchup of Vegas versus Boston. Are you still feeling that way, first of all, as we're getting close to halfway through the season for just about everybody?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good matchup. I mean, Vegas is leading the Pacific right now. They're right up there with all the other contenders. Dallas, Carolina. They're behind Boston, but they're right up there with everybody else. Toronto even. So I could see them having another deep playoff run.
Yeah, the West, especially that Pacific division, the Kings should win that and win that comfortably at this point, don't you think? Because Calgary has stumbled. They are not having a good season.
Kings or the Knights?
The Flames, sorry, Calgary.
No, you said that you think the Kings should win it. Do you mean the Kings or do you mean the Knights?
I'm sorry, the Golden Knights. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah. Whoops.
Yeah, I mean they're 6 points ahead of the Kings. They're 11 points ahead of Calgary. And for as much as we talk about Edmonton with video game numbers, I mean they're 12 points ahead of Edmonton even.
Well, the thing with Edmonton is they don't play defense. The problem with Edmonton, this is the problem I have with Edmonton anyway. Last year, what was their biggest need? Hey, you might want a better netminder. You might want a better goalie heading into this offseason. That should be your priority. Find a better goalie. What's their problem now? They need a better goalie.
Yeah.
That's their problem. They score all these goals. They've got a goal differential of +9. And it's not because they don't score. It's because they don't stop the puck from going in.
Yep.
And to be fair, it's not all the goalie. They could use help defensively too, but you can play offense all day long. Eventually, especially in postseason hockey, you've got to be able to play defense in order to advance. And that's still something that Edmonton doesn't do. That's something that Vegas can do. Vegas can have success stopping the puck. They can have success playing a defensive game. They don't need to score 5, 6, 7, 8 goals every night. They do, they do score, but they don't need to put up those ridiculous numbers every night offensively, and they can still have success.
Yeah. Speaking of Vegas, they are actually playing in next year's Winter Classic.
Ooh, segue. I like it.
The Seattle Kraken and Vegas Golden Knights, the NHL's 2 newest franchises, the toddler and the baby, if you will, will play the 2024 Winter Classic at T-Mobile Park. The league announced yesterday. First time hosting an outdoor game for the Kraken, who are in their second season of the franchise. Also be the second time the Golden Knights play in an outdoor game. Their first outdoor game came during the 2020-21 season when they faced the Avalanche at Lake Tahoe. Playing an outdoor game in Seattle had long been discussed for some time. The long-standing belief was that the league was considering T-Mobile Park, the home of the Mariners, Husky Stadium at the University of Washington, or Lumen Field, the home of the Seattle Seahawks. Kraken COO Victor DeBonis told ESPN in September that the team had told the league of its interest in hosting an outdoor game, the NHL All-Star Game, and or the NHL Draft. Quote, we've always expressed interest in doing these events as we start a new franchise and build our fan base here, DeBonis said at the time. League made the announcement shortly before the Bruins and the Penguins played yesterday in this year's edition of the Winter Classic at Fenway Park. T-Mobile Park joins Busch Stadium, Citi Field, Coors Field, Citizens Bank Park, Dodger Stadium, Nationals Park, Wrigley Field, Yankee Stadium, and Fenway as the latest MLB park to host an NHL outdoor game.
All right, now, that stadium there in Seattle, if I remember correctly, T-Mobile Park has a retractable roof. Do you suppose they'll have the roof open or closed for this game?
I mean, if you're going with the true essence of a Winter Classic, they shouldn't.
I would agree. They should have the roof open. Otherwise, it's kind of like, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, just otherwise just play it in, what is it, Climate Pledge Arena or whatever.
Congratulations. You're still inside. However, we've decided to put you about 1,000 feet away from the rink. Trust us, it'll be great.
Right. Quote unquote Winter Classic.
Oh, you didn't want to actually see the game, did you? Oh. I will say that is one of the weirdest parts of watching the Winter Classics is you don't hear the on the glass all the time. You lose that part of the atmosphere watching a Winter Classic. They'll still, the players will throw themselves against the glass and things like that, but you don't have the fans pounding on it from the other side.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing that you lose that part of the atmosphere?
I haven't decided yet. Depends on my mood, I think. Because there are definitely times where the NHL does a good job of taking advantage of that negative space, if you will, and putting things in the background. And then they also can do some different sky cam things and things like that to give you some different angles of the game that you wouldn't normally get in a traditional setting because, there would be people there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is like somebody scores and you hear, yay, off in the background. And it's, oh yeah, there are people there. They're just, everybody got the cheap seats.
There's not the kind of pandemonium that you expect in a normal game setting. Yeah, I get you.
Right, exactly. So it depends. Sometimes if I'm being honest, more often than not, I do like it because I'm a junkie for those unique camera angles. The Skycam is really... Basketball is about the only sport where I don't like the Skycam view. But getting it in hockey is really neat because you can see so much more of the ice and see the changes better. And the chaos of this group of defenders trying to get off the ice while the attackers are making their way in, and it's that flurry of activity is really cool to see happen in real time, and getting it kind of from the goalie's perspective of, oh crap! And you don't always get that for the indoor arenas. So getting that perspective is really cool.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think T-Mobile Park is like where the Blue Jays play the Rogers Field, Rogers Arena, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very similar style with the retractable roof, I believe.
Yeah, so hopefully they would have the roof open for that one. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, it's, a blizzard or something, I guess. Well, even then, I mean, they've done games in the blizzards before, and that's kind of made it interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it?
Okay, so we talked about the Stars a little bit in the break, I was surprised that they were leading the Central Division with 52 points. So quick shout out to Joe Pavelski. He signed a 1-year extension with said Stars for 23-24. He's 38 years old. Contract is worth a base salary of $3.5 million, includes $2 million in potential performance bonuses. Pavelski has made 12 goals and 25 assists in 38 games this season. Since signing with Dallas in 2019, Pavelski has 78 points, 122 assists in 243 games. He had 761 points in 963 games during his 13 years with the San Jose Sharks. His primary role on the Stars' most dynamic scoring line with Jason Robertson, who leads the team with 25 goals, and Rupe Hintz, who is second on the team with 42 points. Hintz signed an 8-year extension with the Stars in November. Robertson signed a 4-year extension in October. This season, Pavelski is playing on a 1-year deal worth $5.5 million with $500,000 in potential bonuses.
Good for Pavelski. I mean, I remember when that signing happened, it was kind of okay, you're leaving San Jose, which makes sense. You're near the twilight of your career and you're wanting to get that ring. And he's played very well, obviously. I'm surprised that he's at the point of earning a little extension. And he has. It's a well-deserved, well-earned extension there. So good for Pavelski. And good for the Stars.
Yeah, that puts him in his 18th NHL season.
Yeah. It's a long time to be playing hockey.
His hockey career professional hockey career is old enough to buy cigarettes.
There you go. We do not promote smoking necessarily. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you.
Get him a stogie.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. The other team that I wanted to bring up a little bit as I'm seeing the time, we got plenty of time here. The other team I wanted to bring up a little bit, now they have lost tonight, so, okay. The main reason I wanted to talk about them was because they were doing so great defensively last week, and then this week they've decided to stop that. Last week, the Carolina Hurricanes back-to-back shutouts last week. Now, to be fair, one of them was against my Blackhawks. I'm not really sure that shutting out the Blackhawks counts as a professional shutout anymore. But Antti Raanta, 24 saves against the Blackhawks. He then followed that up against the Panthers and made 19 saves. Did you watch any of that game against the Panthers by chance, Zach?
I did not.
Carolina, we've talked about this before, how Carolina's idea of playing defense is to just play more offense, that they are so good at possessing the puck that it's so very difficult to get into your offensive flow and get into your offensive zone and get into a rhythm against them. The Panthers managed just 19 shots against Carolina in this game last week. This was December 30th, last week Friday.
Oh, December 30th. Yeah, the Hurricanes won 4-0.
Yep. And Florida only 19 shots. And if I remember correctly, I got to get the full stats up here, the period by period numbers. Let's go see it this way. Be better.
While you look that up, we talked about Edmonton being really good on offense, but really having crappy defense. Play defense by by playing more offense. That is a common thread with Carolina. So it's almost like Carolina can actually do that. They actually are succeeding at it, whereas Edmonton's not. Would you just use that to describe the whole team, the section?
Well, it's
parallel.
It's similar, but different. In my mind anyway, it's a very subtle distinction. Edmonton's answer to playing defense is to simply dare you to keep up with them, if that makes sense. It's just, look, we're going to sacrifice defense for the sake of putting up all these crazy scores, these 6, 7, 8, 9 goal games. Carolina, it's more of, it's playing keep away. It's, we can play defense, but we're going to make you get the puck from us. Carolina is not necessarily looking to score all the time. They're looking to score enough and then just hold on to the puck and run out the clock. Kind of a...
So they're like Army in college football. They're just going to hold on to the ball and win with time of possession.
Yeah, and it's not like they can't play defense. Antti Raanta, back-to-back shutouts. Brett Burns has been doing well. Listen to some of these numbers, though. The Panthers, in this game last Friday, they had 19 shots total. 11 of them came in the second period. They had just 5 shots in the third and 3 in the entire first period. Over the first 20 minutes of hockey, they mustered 3 shots on net. I was watching that game on Friday and just amazed. The Panthers had 6 power plays. They had multiple power plays that failed to generate a shot. Where they just nothing on net with a man advantage.
That's wild, yeah.
That's just kind of suffocating and smothering Carolina can be. So it's a subtle distinction between them and Edmonton. Edmonton's more of just like, they're just a wave of scoring and scoring and scoring and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting and shooting. Whereas Carolina is, now you're going to have to figure out how to get the pucks on net, because we're going to possess the puck. And when we're not possessing the puck, we're going to be making your life miserable on offense. You're going to have a difficult time getting into your sets, getting into your zones. Of course, I say that, and then the 2 games they have played since then, they have given up 4 goals to the Devils. They did win that game in a shootout. That was on New Year's Day. And then tonight, they lost to the Rangers. So, and that was 5-3. So I say that, and then they give up 9 goals in their last 2 games. But
well, their philosophy is almost more like, come and take this puck from my cold dead hands.
Right, exactly. Larry B has joined us into the chat. Ducks sucks. Yeah, we discussed the Ducks a little bit earlier. We're having the debate of who's worse, your Ducks or my Blackhawks. Survey says Blackhawks. Oh my goodness, the Blues and the Maple Leafs went final. They finally apparently... Nope, not even in the shootout, nobody was interested in stopping anything. The final score was officially 6-5. The Blues were 3 for 4 in the shootout. The Maple Leafs were only 2 for 4 in the shootout.
Wow.
Defense need not apply in that game.
Sabres won in overtime 5-4 in the Caps.
That kind of brings us full circle. That's actually a good place to kind of wrap it up. Give us some of the details from the Buffalo game, and then we will see ourselves out on this one.
Our new best friend, Tage Thompson, he got a hat trick.
Oh, he only scored 3. Hey, they held him to only 3.
Yeah, right. Instead of what did he get, 5 or 6 in that one game?
Jeez. Yeah.
Thompson got goals in the first, second, and third. Overtime. Ovechkin got 2 for the Caps, 1 in the second, 1 in the third. Alex Tuck got 1 in the first for Buffalo. Thompson with the hat trick. Ovechkin had 2. They went into overtime tied 4-4.
And Thompson scored exactly 3 minutes into overtime.
Yep.
Well, way to go, Buffalo. That's a perfect way to wrap things up tonight. So, Buffalo, there's something, at least, a win for Damar Hamlin there from the Buffalo Sabres.
Circle the wagon, galvanize everybody in the whole town.
There you go. Patty will hopefully feel a little bit better about things after that. All right, that is going to do it for us tonight. Big shout out and thank you to Larry B, not only for joining us in the chat room tonight, but he has been a busy guy behind the scenes here at IE Sports Radio. It is going noticed. It is appreciated, sir. Shout out again to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. Thank you for your continued support, not only of this show, but of all the shows here on the network, here on IE Sports Radio. Thank you, and you can go to our website, iesportsradio.com, and you can find information there if you wish to be a Patreon supporter as well. Thank you to Taryn and for Kale hanging out with us tonight in the chat room. Kale is going to be coming up right after us. Sin City Sports is on the way. all things Las Vegas sports. There will, I'm sure, be some Raiders rumblings going on there. There will be, I'm sure, also some Vegas Golden Knight musings as they are getting ready to take on the Dallas Stars tomorrow night and look to stay atop not only the Pacific, but atop the entire Western Conference. He is Zach Pupelis. I am Adam Kernick. Together, we are the Neutral Zone here on IE Sports Radio. Things are coming into the home stretch here a little bit now that we are into January. We're downhill. We're halfway through the hockey season. We'll be picking up steam here, diving in some of these matchups. We'll also take a peek at how the World Juniors went as well. All that's coming up next week. Until then, everybody be good. Stay out of the penny box. Don't get checked into the boards. And as always, we'll see you next time.